In the heart of Norse mythology lies a tale of sacrifice, fate, and hidden knowledge. The story of Odin's relentless quest for wisdom. From hanging 9 nights upon Yggdrasil to seeking the mysteries of the runes, Odin's journey reveals the price one must pay for true understanding. His pursuit was not for power alone, but to grasp the secrets of destiny that bind gods and men alike. In this video, we uncover the myths, symbols, and spiritual truths behind Odin's search, and how the ancient runes still whisper their wisdom across the ages. In most mythologies, the supreme deity is often portrayed as all-knowing and all-powerful. In Greek myth, Zeus rules from Olympus with thunderbolts. In Christianity, God sees and knows all things. And in Hinduism, Vishnu is both preserver and cosmic knower. Norse mythology, however, presents us with a very different image of divinity. Odin the All-Father was not born all-wise. Instead, he relentlessly pursued wisdom, often at great personal cost. Odin's story is not one of effortless omniscience. Instead, it is a tale of sacrifice, hunger for knowledge, and the belief that wisdom must be earned through struggle. His quest for understanding brought him to the very roots of existence, the cosmic tree Yggdrasil, the wellsprings of fate, and the mysterious runes that held the secrets of life, death, and magic. This is the story of Odin's quest for wisdom, the Norse secrets of fate, and the sacred runes that continue to intrigue seekers of knowledge to this day. The nature of Odin. Odin's character is layered and paradoxical. He is a war god, yet also a poet. He rules kings, but disguises himself as a wanderer. He seeks truth, but sometimes deals in trickery and deception. At his heart, though, is a deep obsession with wisdom and foresight. Unlike other gods who are content with their domains, Odin constantly seeks to understand what lies ahead, even if it means confronting the inevitability of doom. This obsession is driven by his awareness of Ragnarok, the prophesied end of the world, when gods and giants alike will perish in a final cataclysm. Knowing that fate is inescapable, Odin still yearns to learn all he can, perhaps to delay Ragnarok, or at least to meet it prepared. The sacrifice at Mimir's well. One of the earliest and most famous episodes of Odin's quest for knowledge centers on Mimir's well, also known as the Well of Wisdom. This well lies beneath Yggdrasil, the world tree, and drinking from it grants deep insight into the workings of the cosmos. Yet the guardian of the well, the wise being Mimir, did not give up its waters freely. When Odin sought to drink, Mimir demanded a terrible price, one of Odin's eyes. Without hesitation, Odin plucked out his eye and dropped it into the well. In exchange, he drank the waters of wisdom, gaining knowledge of cosmic mysteries. From that moment forward, Odin was the one-eyed god, often depicted with a piercing gaze that saw more than ordinary eyes could perceive. This sacrifice illustrates the Norse idea that wisdom comes only at great cost. Knowledge is not a gift, but something earned through pain, loss, and sacrifice. Odin's mutilation also symbolizes that true vision requires more than physical sight. It demands insight, foresight, and the ability to see beyond appearances. The runes and the hanging on Yggdrasil. Perhaps the most dramatic moment in Odin's search for wisdom is his discovery of the runes. The runes were not simply letters for writing, but sacred symbols of immense power. They were used for divination, magic, and shaping destiny itself. Gaining them was no easy task, even for the All-Father. According to the Havamal, a poem from the poetic Edda, Odin sacrificed himself to himself. He hung upon Yggdrasil, the great world tree, pierced by his own spear. For 9 nights he dangled without food or drink, suffering terribly. Only when he reached the brink of death did the runes reveal themselves to him in a flash of insight. This ordeal echoes initiation rituals found across cultures, where seekers undergo symbolic death before being reborn with new knowledge. Odin's self-sacrifice reflects the idea that wisdom requires a breaking of the old self and a rebirth into deeper understanding. By suffering on the tree, he embodied the principle that truth lies beyond comfort and must be seized with courage and endurance. The runes, keys to fate. The runes Odin discovered were far more than a writing system. Each rune carried meanings tied to natural forces, human experience, and spiritual truths. They were used for inscriptions, but also for magic, carved into weapons for strength, etched into amulets for protection, or cast as lots for divination. For example, Fehu symbolized wealth and prosperity. Ansuz represented divine communication and inspiration. Raidho reflected journeys and movement. Algiz stood for protection. Tawaz embodied justice and courage. Through the runes, the Norse believed one could tap into fate itself, glimpsing what was to come or influencing outcomes through ritual and willpower. To possess the runes was to hold a fragment of cosmic truth, and Odin, through his sacrifice, became their master. Fate and the Norns. To fully grasp Odin's obsession with the runes and knowledge, one must understand the Norse view of fate. At the roots of Yggdrasil sits a well tended by the Norns, three mysterious beings named Ord past, Verdandi present, and Skuld future. They weave the fates of gods and men alike, carving destinies into the fabric of reality. Even Odin, despite his power, was subject to their weaving. No one could escape what the Norns decreed. But by learning the runes and seeking hidden wisdom, Odin hoped to understand the patterns of fate and perhaps influence them. His endless quest was not about avoiding destiny, but about meeting it with knowledge rather than ignorance. This worldview differs from traditions where divine will overrides all. In Norse myth, not even the gods are fully in control. Fate is a cosmic law beyond them, and wisdom lies in perceiving and aligning with it, rather than resisting it. The wanderer and seeker of truth. Odin is often depicted not as a majestic king on a throne, but as a hooded wanderer traveling through the 9 worlds. He takes disguises, speaks with mortals, and seeks knowledge wherever it may be found. He learns from giants, shamans, witches, and even the dead. This aspect of Odin reflects humility before truth. Despite being the ruler of the gods, he lowers himself to learn from others. In one tale, he raises a dead seeress from her grave to question her about fate. In another, he bargains with giants for scraps of wisdom. Odin's wanderings teach us that knowledge is not locked in high places. It is scattered across the world, waiting to be gathered. Odin and poetry, the mead of inspiration. Another chapter in Odin's quest is his pursuit of the mead of poetry. This magical drink was said to grant the gift of poetic inspiration and wisdom. It was created from the blood of the wise, being Kvasir, and guarded by giants. Through cunning and disguise, Odin stole the mead, transforming into an eagle to escape. He brought it back to Asgard, where it became the source of poetic inspiration for gods and humans alike. This myth ties wisdom not only to sacrifice and suffering, but also to creativity. Odin's quest shows that true understanding manifests not only in foresight, but in the ability to inspire, to speak truths that move hearts and shape cultures. Wisdom and sacrifice, a Norse ideal. Taken together, Odin's myths reveal a consistent theme. Wisdom requires sacrifice. Unlike modern ideals of easy enlightenment, the Norse believed that knowledge had to be paid for with suffering, loss, or risk. Odin gave his eye, his comfort, his blood, and his very life to gain insight. This reflects the harsh world of the Vikings, where survival demanded strength, endurance, and resilience. Their gods embodied the same reality. Even the divine must struggle, sacrifice, and suffer to achieve greatness. Odin's story thus resonated with a culture that valued courage and endurance above all. Lessons for the modern world. Though the Norse myths are ancient, Odin's quest speaks powerfully to us today. In a world overflowing with information, wisdom still remains rare and costly. True understanding demands discipline, sacrifice, and sometimes the courage to endure hardship. Odin teaches us that knowledge is not about amassing facts, but about transformation. To learn deeply is to be changed, to leave behind old ways of seeing and embrace new insight. His runes remind us that symbols and stories carry hidden truths waiting to be unlocked. His encounters with fate urge us to face life's inevitabilities not with despair, but with preparedness and courage. The end of Odin's quest, Ragnarok. Ultimately, Odin's wisdom did not save him from fate. At Ragnarok, the great twilight of the gods, he is destined to be devoured by the monstrous wolf Fenrir. Despite all his sacrifices, he cannot escape his doom. Yet his quest for wisdom was not in vain. By preparing himself and his people with knowledge, Odin ensured that they would face Ragnarok with dignity, bravery, and understanding. His story shows that wisdom is not about escaping death, but about meeting it with awareness and readiness. Wisdom above power. In most mythologies, gods embody perfection, immortal, powerful, and all-knowing. Yet in the world of the Norse, even gods are fallible, incomplete, and bound by fate. At the heart of their pantheon stands Odin, the All-Father. Unlike Zeus on Olympus or Ra over Egypt, Odin's defining trait is not unshakable authority, but relentless curiosity. He is the seeker, the wanderer, the one who sacrifices endlessly in pursuit of knowledge. Odin's story is not about a god who already possesses wisdom, but about a god who strives for it, painfully, desperately, and ceaselessly. He is the eternal seeker, a being who gives his eye his life, and his comfort to understand fate, magic, and the mysteries of existence. His tale is one of longing rather than contentment, struggle rather than serenity, and transformation rather than stasis. The paradox of the All-Father. Odin is often called the All-Father because he is both the ruler of the Aesir gods and the father of many divine children, including Thor and Balder. Yet this title hides a profound paradox. As All-Father, he rules, but he does not fully control. As king of Asgard, he commands armies, but he cannot alter fate. This paradox defines Odin's character. Unlike omnipotent gods of other traditions, Odin is painfully aware of his limitations. He knows that Ragnarok, the doom of gods and the end of the world, is inevitable. He cannot stop it, but he obsesses over understanding it. His quest is not about conquering fate, but about preparing himself, his kin, and humanity to face it with courage. Thus, Odin's greatness lies not in dominance, but in his hunger for knowledge. He embodies the idea that wisdom is greater than raw strength, and foresight is more valuable than brute force. The eye at Mimir's well. The first major sacrifice Odin makes for wisdom occurs at the well of Mimir, hidden beneath the roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree. This well contains unfathomable wisdom, and Mimir, its guardian, drinks from it daily. When Odin arrives, he begs for a sip of its waters. Mimir refuses, unless Odin pays the ultimate price. To gain the vision of wisdom, Odin must give up one of his eyes. Without hesitation, Odin gouges out his eye and drops it into the well. Only then does he drink, receiving visions of cosmic truth. From this moment, Odin becomes the one-eyed god, his gaze symbolic of deeper sight. He has lost physical vision, but gained inner vision. The sacrifice demonstrates a central Norse principle. Wisdom demands loss. One cannot approach ultimate truth without giving something away, whether comfort, security, or even part of oneself. Hanging on the tree, the ordeal of Yggdrasil. If Mimir's will cost Odin his eye, the next step in his journey nearly cost him his life. Odin's most famous act of sacrifice occurs on Yggdrasil, the cosmic tree that connects all worlds. In the Havamal, a poem from the poetic Edda, Odin recounts how he hung upon the tree for 9 nights, pierced by his own spear. He endured without food or drink, teetering between life and death. His ordeal was not imposed by another. It was self-chosen, a sacrifice of self to self. At the edge of death, the runes revealed themselves to him, glowing with meaning. With a great cry, Odin seized them, pulling them into consciousness. The runes were not merely symbols for writing, but keys to the cosmos. They carried magical and spiritual power, each rune embodying forces of nature, destiny, and transformation. By grasping the runes, Odin gained mastery over spells, healing, and prophecy. This myth reflects a universal truth. Wisdom often requires symbolic death and rebirth. Odin's suffering represents the breaking of the old self so that a new self, enlightened by knowledge, may emerge. The meed of poetry, inspiration as wisdom. Wisdom for Odin was not limited to prophecy and magic. He also sought the power of words, poetry, and inspiration. This led him to pursue the mead of poetry, a sacred drink crafted from the blood of the wise, being Kvasir. The mead granted the gift of eloquence and creativity, allowing mortals and gods alike to speak with divine inspiration. The mead was guarded by giants in a distant stronghold. Through cunning, disguise, and trickery, Odin managed to steal it. Transforming into an eagle, he carried the mead back to Asgard, where it became the source of poetry and artistic genius. Here again, Odin appears as a seeker who is never satisfied. He does not rest with foresight or magic, but reaches for creativity itself, seeing in poetry another form of wisdom. The spoken word, like the runes, has the power to shape reality, inspire people, and transmit truth. The Norns and the weaving of fate. Odin's obsession with wisdom cannot be separated from the Norse concept of fate. At the base of Yggdrasil sits the Well of Ord, where the Norns, mysterious beings of destiny, carve and weave the lives of gods and mortals alike. The Norns are 3, Ord the past, Verdandi the present, and Skuld the future. They represent the flow of time, weaving all existence into a tapestry that cannot be unraveled. Even the gods are bound by their decrees. Odin knows he cannot escape fate, but he seeks to understand it. Through the runes, through prophecy, through endless questioning, he tries to glimpse the patterns of destiny. His knowledge does not free him from doom, but it gives him strength to face it with dignity. This reflects the Norse worldview. Fate is unchangeable, but knowledge gives courage. Wisdom allows one to align with reality rather than resist it blindly. Odin, the Wanderer. Unlike many kings of myth who sit upon thrones, Odin often appears as a wanderer, cloaked and hooded, with a wide-brimmed hat to hide his missing eye. He roams the 9 worlds in search of wisdom. He seeks counsel from giants, witches, and even the dead. In one tale, he raises a dead seeress to question her about the future. In another, he bargains with giants for fragments of knowledge. His humility in seeking wisdom from others, even from enemies, reveals his boundless hunger for truth. The image of Odin as a solitary traveler underscores his title as the eternal seeker. He never remains still, never claims to know enough. He is forever moving, learning, and questioning. Sacrifice as the path to knowledge. Odin's many quests share one common theme. Wisdom comes at a price. He loses his eye, hangs on the tree, suffers hunger, risks his life, and lowers his pride. This theme reflects the harsh reality of Viking life. In a world of cold winters, endless wars, and fragile survival, nothing came easily. To the Norse, wisdom could not be free. It had to be earned through sacrifice, just as survival required strength and endurance. Odin embodies this truth. He is not a comfortable god of luxury, but a restless god of struggle. His sacrifices remind us that true wisdom always demands something of us, be it comfort, pride, or even part of our very selves. The eternal seeker and Ragnarok. Despite all his wisdom, Odin cannot escape fate. At Ragnarok, the prophesied end of the world, he is destined to be devoured by Fenrir, the monstrous wolf. His knowledge gives him no escape, but it gives him preparation. Odin trains warriors, inspires poets, and prepares his people to face the end with bravery. He knows he will fall, but he falls with foresight, with the dignity of one who has faced truth unflinchingly. Thus, Odin's quest for wisdom is not about avoiding death, but about meeting it wisely. He shows that even the mightiest cannot escape fate, but they can confront it with knowledge, courage, and resolve. Lessons for today. What does Odin's story mean for us, centuries after the Viking Age? In a modern world flooded with information, Odin reminds us of the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Facts are easy to collect. Wisdom is hard-won. It demands sacrifice, reflection, and the willingness to endure discomfort. Odin also teaches the value of humility. Even as king of the gods, he never stopped seeking, never believed himself complete. He teaches us that wisdom is not a destination, but a lifelong journey, a path of eternal seeking. Finally, Odin's acceptance of fate reminds us that life is finite, and no amount of knowledge can change that. But wisdom allows us to live with awareness, to prepare for what is to come, and to meet life's end with courage. The Eternal Seeker. Odin's quest for wisdom is one of the most compelling narratives in Norse mythology. It portrays a god who is willing to give everything, his eye, his life, his comfort, to gain deeper knowledge of fate, magic, and existence. He drank from Mimir's well, hung on Yggdrasil to seize the runes, stole the meat of poetry, and questioned the Norns themselves. Through it all, he remained restless, never satisfied, always wandering in search of truth. Odin is not the god of completion, but the god of striving. He is the eternal seeker, embodying the truth that wisdom is never fully attained, but endlessly pursued. His story reminds us that the path of wisdom is not about arrival, but about the courage to keep seeking, sacrificing, and learning until the very end. Odin's sacrifice reminds us that wisdom is never freely given. It must be sought, earned, and sometimes suffered for. The runes he uncovered are more than symbols. They are keys to fate, guiding those who dare to listen. As we reflect on his quest, we see that the pursuit of knowledge is as timeless as the human spirit itself. Thank you for joining us on this journey into Norse myth and mystery. If you enjoyed exploring Odin's path, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more ancient stories that still echo in our modern world.